Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily. It's Wednesday, November 30th, here with Simon Borg. I'm Nick Fershaw. Simon, we'll start with the LA Galaxy. No rest for the MLS champs. They kicked off their Asia-Pacific tour on Wednesday. Very early start on the East Coast and a very, very early start for the LA Galaxy fans on the West Coast, but it was worth it. The LA Galaxy get a big 1-0 win over the Indonesian national select team, and Robbie Keane the hero in this one.
Typical result for the LA Galaxy, 1-0, not a typical friendly necessarily. It was a heated affair. Robbie Keane taking a hit early on, didn't like it. David Beckham responding with a really rough tackle on the other side. So it was a little heated. The Galaxy getting the goal eventually through Robbie Keane, serviced by Adam Chrisman. They hit the post, they strike the crossbar, and then when the subs came in second half, it was all about managing the results, and they did all they could do to hold on to that 1-0 result.
David Beckham went roughly 85 minutes. In this one, the tour swings on into Manila. That's where the LA Galaxy will play on Saturday. You can follow all the games right here on MLSsoccer.com. Let's move on to the re-entry draft, Simon. We've been waiting for this, a big moment in the offseason when we get to see a number of players that had their options declined by their teams and now available for the first stage of the re-entry draft next Monday. A lot of good players on this list. Some stick out for me. Bobby Convey, Santino Quaranta, and Bobby Boswell helped the Houston Dynamo get to the MLS Cup. Who else sticks out for you that might be a good pickup?
It's a long list. Check it on MLSsoccer.com. But I would say Santino Quaranta's teammate on DC United, Clyde Sims, a good experienced holding midfielder, and a lot of other experienced players. John Thorrington, Joe Cannon from Vancouver, and from Salt Lake, Andy Williams, very serviceable midfielder, and Arturo Alvarez, still a dangerous player. I think they could all find homes.
Well, keep in mind there's two stages to the re-entry draft, one on December 5th and one on Monday, December 12th. We saw a lot more action, Simon, in the second stage of the re-entry draft last year. That's when teams can actually work with players, negotiate with them, try and get sort of a bargain rate. You mentioned on December 5th, that's when they have to pay them at their current option, what they're demanded right now. We'll have to see. There should be a lot more action in the second round. We'll see who goes in the first round. There's also been a number of trades in MLS recently, headlined by Robbie Russell, the Real Salt Lake veteran, headed to DC, a good pickup for a young DC backline.
Absolutely. This is probably the move of Tuesday to highlight because it changes a lot for DC. They're able to fill that right back spot that was a trouble spot for them and allows Perry Kitchen, who played there for most of the year, to move to defensive midfield, which makes you believe Clyde Sims is probably not going to come back. Perry Kitchen is going to be given that role.
Two other trades we want to mention. Paulo Nagamura going from Chivas USA to Sporting Kansas City, and Jeremy Hall, his fourth team in just over a year. He's on his way to Toronto FC. And I also want to mention Andres Mendoza, the DP from Columbus Crew, released by the Columbus Crew after a year. He put up a lot of numbers, but he had some troubles on the field and off the field. What do you think?
Yeah, the numbers were great, but they came with troubles with the fans. There was the incident with Jeff Cunningham. Didn't seem like he was really well loved, and he didn't have that hard-working ethic that the Crew players have all the time. He developed it as the season maybe went on, but he didn't embody that spirit that Robert Verzijo wants out of his team.
Well, from one international talent on his way out to another one potentially on his way into MLS, Simon, there's a report that the Vancouver Whitecaps could be on the brink of signing a very big-name player to shore up that back line.
Yeah, he's a South Korean international. Lee Young-pyu still plays for the South Korean national team and is on the verge of breaking the all-time appearance mark for that country. He's a player with experience in Holland in the Eredivisie with PSV, in England in the Premier League with Tottenham Hotspur, and he's a left back. So this is what makes it interesting if they eventually do sign him. Alain Rochat is the incumbent left back. Does one of them move to right back? Does Rochat maybe move to central defense where he played a few games? So a lot of questions if it eventually does come down.
And one last thing we want to mention, our friends over at Tito Libre, the Spanish language podcast on Football MLS, caught up with Andy Najar, the DC United youngster currently training with Tottenham. You can find that on iTunes and Buzzsprout later on Wednesday. And for all the latest headlines in MLS, log on to MLSsoccer.com.